My name is Blake Cohn. For those of you that do not know me, I'm the executive director of the National Network of Schools in Partnership. And in our previous existence, COVID, we spent a lot of time doing professional development events around the country about connecting around community engagement and partnership programs. We have completely pivoted and we are here online with everybody else. And I am thrilled you're all here today to talk about what, and I say our, and I mean it for NNSP as well, what our role is through distance learning and how this looks. And so anyway, I'm thrilled you're all here, took an hour out of your day. I just want to say thank you for all that you're doing for your kids. I'm a teacher at heart, and I think what you all are doing in your homes to create safe spaces for your kids and your own families is amazing, and no one can say thank you enough. So I will say it right now. I mean it from the very bottom of my heart. This is crazy, and I think what you all are being asked to do is slightly insane, and I can't believe everybody has stepped up to the challenge with so remarkably. So that is, without me getting too emotional, a thank you to everybody who's out there trying to make this work for kids. For this meeting, and I know we've been on a million of these, but just a reminder, if you're not speaking, if you could put it on mute. We are recording this. I will clean it up before we we'll post it to on our website and our YouTube channel, so you can share it out if you found this helpful with anybody else in your community. Everything is free for sharing. Same thing goes, I've posted on the right in the chat board both the agenda, and we'll be using a shared document when we go out into our breakout rooms. Please put anything that comes up in your mind either in the chat or on that shared document, and I will also clean that all up and share it back out. I find it very helpful to have a sort of a central place for the resources that are mentioned, and we will do our best. So that's the sort of regulations of the webinar. I don't know what those words are, but I wanted to start today by, I'm going to share my screen with you all. I'm going to share my screen.
Hi. My video is not working. Hold on. Hi. Sorry, I came late.
It's no worries. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm going to call it a pep talk. I find that when we're talking about what this looks like for community engagement and partnership programs, there's a lot of anxiety and fear. There's anxiety and fear for all of us about what this looks like. What does distance learning look like for all of us as educators? But in particular, what does this look like for community engagement and partnership practitioners is super scary, because we're used to being out and feet on the ground, out in the community, sending kids out to places, interacting with people, and that really is not a reality at this point in time, and it might not be for a couple of months, and this might shift the way we look at education in general. I'm not a forecaster. I can't tell you what this looks like next year, but the real questions are, how can we as community engagement people and service learning directors and partnership coordinators, how do we stay relevant? How do we make sure that the value of our work and the outcomes that we've promised our kids are honored through distance learning? It's challenging to think of how do you still stay engaged with community partners when everybody's still in their homes, and so I think also teachers are overwhelmed, and so the idea or the notion of adding to what we're already asking them to do is just unreasonable. And so there's a lot of pushback about I can't do one more thing. I'm barely handling my class as it is. But I am forever an optimist. And if you know me at all, you know that's probably very accurate. And so I look at all of this as opportunities, opportunities to really share with your community how important community engagement and partnership work is now, how it is essential for our kids' mental health, to help them have a purpose that is greater than themselves, have engagement with people and with concepts that aren't just around academics. How can you remind them that what they're doing in their homes as their distance learning is valuable and important to what they're going to do in their real life? How can we always are talking about how we don't have enough time to get this work, to talk about our social emotional growth and our compassion and our empathy. And now seems like the perfect time to really focus on the skills that we know are the most important for our kids' growth. So when I look at these challenges, like how do I stay relevant, I think about like, how can you position yourself as a burden reliever for teachers rather than saying, I have something you can do that might be good with our partners. How can you instead say, hey, let me help you with your class. Let me come in and talk for 20 minutes about something that is relevant about your environmental curriculum that connects to one of our partners, right? Let me share the work that you are doing, since I'm not spending as much time in the classroom as a full-time teacher. How do you maintain your existing partnerships? I think it really is a matter of how do you look at the strengths of your partners and how can they enhance what you are doing virtually? What skills do they have that they can share with you? I had a conversation with somebody last week, and the homeless shelter that they volunteer in is going to give a guided tour, obviously via internet somehow, of a guided tour of what the homeless shelter looks like now in COVID-19 status, what they're doing to protect the people that are there, how many people they're serving, the volunteers, etc. How can you leverage the skills that your partners have to enhance what you're doing in your school? And how can you do that virtually? Now, the next thing is like, how do you engage authentically through the internet? And that is a super tricky one, but one that I've been encouraged to think outside the box. Zoom isn't our only way to engage. Can we do video presentations? Can we use our social media? Can we use YouTube? How do we engage? Thinking outside the box. And I'm going to encourage all of us to do that in the breakout center, in the breakouts that we do later, to really stretch our minds about how do we do this without having to only rely on these WebEx, Zoom type conversations. And then the last thing is the challenge is like, what does this look like in 12 months? And so I think this is a real opportunity to start improving your relationships and building your relationships with your partners. We're going to send out a quick tip tomorrow from one of our board members, Guyby. I'm sure he's on this conversation. And he really talks about reaching out to your, sorry, I totally lost my track of thought. When we are talking about improving our relationships and
can somebody just turn off the microphones? Could everybody except Blake? Because I hear.
Perfect. Sorry, I muted you by accident.
No, it's just asking if everybody else can mute their microphone so we could hear you clearly, because there's a lot of thumping near the microphone and some background noise. So if everybody can
that's a great reminder. If everybody can remember to mute, it's in the upper right-hand corner of your picture box.
And Blake, you as administrator should be able just to mute everyone as well.
Ross,
there's a way to do that.
Ross, you are asking way too much of me right now.
Okay, sorry. But it's possible. So
it is possible. Okay, So what does our program look like in 12 months? How do we start improving our relationships and expanding them to think long-term? And so I was getting to what Guyby is going, you'll see in a video that he has tomorrow. And it's about asking what their what is. What do your partners need, and how can you reach out to them and ask if you can help, right? How can you start reminding your partners that you're there for them, even if it doesn't look 100% reciprocal at this very moment, right? Building these relationships are reaching out to our partners and reminding them that we are there for them as they need us in this period of crisis for many, many of our partners. So what we're going to do today is talk about ways that we can reshape the role of a community engagement or service learning director to be relevant in distance learning, to help improve the relationships with our partners over the course of the next 12 months, and to provide the essential mental health and curricular content for our kids. I think probably most important is the social emotional growth and safety of our kids right now, second to the academic content of what they're getting in their distance learning. And I think that's where we could provide crucial help to our teachers in connecting the valuable academic content with something that really engages their students, both on synchronous learning, but also outside of the classroom, so kids feel productive and feel useful in this period of time when they're stuck at home and really probably feeling a level of despair that they're unable to articulate. And so to give them an outlet to feel like they're useful and that they have a purpose and that they're helping in a situation where we really keep being told that the only thing we can do to help is to stay at home. So I am going to shift and turn the microphone over to Laura Day. Laura is the director of the Institute for Social Impact at Hockaday School in Dallas. And if you've been watching our videos, she's often present in her quick tips about how to help your students feel more engaged. I've asked her to share a couple of ways that they are looking to engage we broke it out into elementary, middle, and high school students. And then what we're going to do, and this is a fingers crossed, come on Zoom, I've pre-assigned breakout rooms based on your division level that you chose when you registered. I'm certain this is not going to go well, but I'm going to try my best. And if it doesn't work, I have it printed out here, and I will hand assign everybody into their breakout rooms. But the idea is that after we talk with Laura, we're going to go into our breakout rooms, divided out by division, and talk about one way that we've implemented some change to get community engagement and partnership work into our classrooms, or redefining our role, and one challenge that remains that we'd like to talk about. That is when we're going to use our shared document. So if one person in each group would be a note taker and open the shared document, that is a Google Doc, and go to your breakout room, it's rooms 1 through 9, and fill out the right, the name of the person, the one thing they've changed, the one challenge, and then any resources that come up, share them there. It's fantastic when we have that to look back at the end. At the end, we'll come back, we'll have some time for a question and answer. I'm afraid we won't have time to do a share out of all 8 breakout rooms or 9 breakout rooms. So therefore, please rely on that shared document to see what the other breakout rooms we're talking about. Are there any questions before I turn it over to Laura? No. Okay, great. Laura, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you so much for being here. And I will be back in a minute.
Great. Hello, everyone. So the first slide that Blake's going to go to is the elementary slide. Yeah, great. So I'm just here to get people to dream real quick, and I'm sure all of you have just as wonderful ideas, if not more than we do. But I have been trying to answer those questions that Blake just talked about on a daily basis and trying to figure out how to do that. So a lot of you have seen the positive messages people are putting in front of a house or an apartment. What I've seen lately that I think is a really cool thing for pre-K to fourth grade to do is to actually by name put something. Like recently, our kids have been writing chalk messages to mailmen, FedEx workers, naming them on the street, which I think is something that can give little kids a way to feel like they're really being grateful to the people who are still working and making our country go. First through fourth grade, freerice.com, something maybe a lot of you know about. It's a program where students can do online math as well as online language arts, and it unlocks food that goes around the world. It's just a nice kind of online thing that you can use to give to your teachers. And then the other thing, and we have themes in every grade, so we plug these in based on theme. The other one is there's a lot of videos about how to make dog toys, and that can be made out of old shirts and towels and things like that. And the kids can watch those videos and at home make those dog toys and hold on to them and then deliver them whenever we're back and able to go to those shelters. Middle school. So Blake was mentioning the homeless shelter. That's our fifth grade theme. So we're upcoming going to have someone give a tour to our whole grade level of the homeless shelter, talk about what they're doing. And I can't ask for people's time right now without also thinking to give a little bit of money. And because inside of my budget, I'm not spending money on anything else, I'm doing little tokens of appreciation to help pay for food for the organizations giving us their time to do this kind of connection. There's an organization called Paper for Water, which you can look up. They teach people how to fold all kinds of origami that they then sell and turn into ornaments and various things. All that money has gone to build over 150 water wells all over the country where they have local relationships. Just another thing middle school kids could get into, could connect to science if water is something you study. And the last thing I like is a lot of people have been turning their little free libraries or creating little free pantries. Kids can construct those if they already exist. They can repurpose them. Putting canned foods inside of little free pantries or little free libraries is a cool kind of hands-on project that middle school kids could work on around food insecurity. And then high school. Right now we've created, and you can do this at a small level or a giant level, but we've created a YouTube channel where we're allowing all of our students, clubs, you name whatever they're doing, arts classes, where kids make videos that are put up on this YouTube channel, and our students are running the YouTube channel and I'm just overseeing it, but they can put themselves teaching a dance, playing an instrument, learning how, reading a book, doing a science experiment. All of these things can go onto a YouTube channel very easily. Students know how to do it better than we do. And that YouTube link can be shared with your community partners. Our orchestra is going to be performing on Zoom. We're going to be putting that on a link that I'm sending to all our elderly home partners. They can play that during lunch. People need enrichment and need to see the faces they've seen before, and you can do all of that through YouTube. If you don't have community partners, you can do it and share it with your lower school. You can do it and share it with your staff. There's a lot of ways to use YouTube and your students' talents. We also have students right now working on masks. So they're teaching sewing lessons on Zoom to each other. They're sewing masks. And then we have some parents who have organized to deliver who are also doctors to hospitals. And lastly, this is just a supplemental thing. If you decide to do any of these videos, we have our art class. Instead of doing art class, they're doing Bob Ross videos. So our art students are doing Bob Ross style videos, and the link is going to our local elementary school partners. But you wonder about art supplies. So what we've done is kids are creating art kits in their houses, and their parents are dropping them off at the places where public schools are giving out food. Many cities are doing this. So it's a way to kind of tap into, parents are already going there. So go ahead and meet them there and leave the kits there that can go home with the kids as a way to supplement the work that you're doing. So that's it. Those are just to kind of get you started and thinking about things. And I'm sure you'll have very wonderful, fruitful conversations in your group breakouts.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. It's like most people are back. Thank you all so much for being my rookie endeavor in breakout rooms. not perfect, not horrible. I hope you ended up with a good group of people and that you were able to take that 25-ish minutes to share and to get some great ideas. I hope also we were able to use that shared document. I find that we did that 2 weeks ago, and it has been shared all over the place, and I think it's super helpful. Please continue to circle back to it. When I clean it up, I'll just put a note at the top that it is a shared document, so please don't make any major edits to it, but I'll allow us all to continue to edit and add to it as it exists. So I'm going to take some questions, and I see RJ already has one about capstone and senior projects. And I had just had a conversation this morning about doing another a webinar like this for people who are interested in talking about what that looks like for the next 2 months for your seniors. So I haven't even created a sign up or anything for that, but it'll come out in our weekly newsletter tomorrow if you want to talk more about that. And then I will look into this the National Capstone Consortium, and maybe RJ, I can have a conversation with you before we have that webinar about what that looks like. But I think that if people want to talk about any of this stuff, just reach out to me. I'm happy to pull together smaller groups that are more focused in topic. So does anybody have any questions? I think probably the best way to put a question up with this amount of people is to put it up in the chat. It can be to anybody. And Nancy's adding, okay, great. Nancy's going to add more about capstones. And before I lose any of you, because I know all of you are running to your next class or meeting, next week, Laura and I are going to do a 2-hour hands-on, it's limited to 30 people, webinar about really how do you do this work to repurpose some of your programs that you had existing in school pre-COVID and what that could look like for distance learning. So it'll be a mishmash of small groups, some design thinking, and just some brainstorming with each other, but we're limiting in numbers so that we can have small groups and really have open conversation to come out with tangible ways to, instead of just big broad stroke ideas. The link to sign up is on that shared document. It'll also go out in our weekly newsletter that goes out tomorrow.
Just real quick, like that link right now is not working. It just takes you to a broken jot form page.
Well, okay, give me 15 minutes after this is over, and that link, I'll get it back up. Thank you for telling me that.
No worries.
But yes, so that's this same time next week, but it'll be 2 hours instead of 1 hour to give us a real chunk of time. I know you all don't have a ton of time, but if you do have those 2 hours, even if you want to come in for like a larger portion, but you can't be the whole thing, feel free. It's free. Share it out to anybody who might be interested in that. Are there any other questions? Yeah, Florence, or sorry, yes, Vivian, I see your hand up.
I'm just looking at the group numbers. Is there any identification which numbers are for which grades? I know, of course, we're high school, but.
I will put that on there. 1 was elementary, and then 8 was middle school, and then everything else was high school.
Okay, so number 1 was elementary, 8 was middle school, and the rest were high school. Okay,
yes.
Great. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
I didn't want to over-promise by putting that on the document pre-assigned breakout rooms, because I didn't know how that was all going to fall out.
Okay, very good. Thanks a million.
Are there any other questions? Now's your shot. Okay, well, I'm not going to take up any more of your time, but I will tell you, now is the time for all of us to really prove how valuable this work is in the life of a child, right? We're really looking at what matters and what doesn't matter in a school day. And I think this work is so, so important. And it's just essential for our kids, for their growth, to be real humans. I think there's a real new, a new focus on what is essential when we send our kids out to college or to the real world. And I believe this for years, that this work is so important. So I really encourage you all to look at what you're doing and think about how you can enhance the educational opportunities of your kids in this time. We're all pivoting, so let's pivot and really put a good focus on this work. And I hope you all have the best of luck. I am here for anybody who wants to ask questions. If you really want to, run some ideas with a couple of people, I'm happy to reach out and create a Zoom for a couple of people, a focus group, what have you. Like the rest of you, we're pivoting at NSP, and we're trying to serve everybody as best we can and meet your needs where you are. So the only way I know that is if you let me know. Okay, so I will see you all, I hope, next week. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out. And thank you, Laura, so much for sharing what you're doing. One more thing, I love the quick videos that we're doing, or the quick tip videos. I'd love some new faces on those. No offense, Skyby and Laura. So if anybody has some quick tips that they would like to share and they're willing to do a 3-minute Zoom recorded video with me, I would love it. So reach out to me and we'll get you out there. All right. Thank you all. Have a great week.
Thank you.
We can do this.
Yes.
I
Thanks,
appreciate
Blake.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks, Blake.
you.
Hey, thank you so much, Blake.
you.